Welcome to Today's Homeowner with Danny Lipford. Expert advice on improving your home from the pages of Today's Homeowner magazine and professional remodeler Danny Lipford.
Well, I'm glad you're with us this week, and let me say right up front how much I appreciate the great response we've gotten from you, the viewer. The letters and email are telling us exactly what kind of home improvement show you'd like to see, and we're doing our best to bring it to you. Now, one of the comments we've gotten is to show more about interior flooring. Well, we're at that stage on this project where we're adding two separate additions to the rear of this house, one for a master bedroom and one for the enlargement of the existing den and kitchen. Now, we'll show you ceramic, marble, and a special floating hardwood system. We'll talk with that flooring contractor in just a little while. Also, the homeowners are ready to get their yard back into shape, and they've hired a landscape architect to develop a master plan, and we'll talk with him about his vision for the landscaping. We've got a lot to show you, so stay with us here on Today's Homeowner. Welcome back. You know, one of the problems we had to address at this point in the job when the yard's all disturbed is the replacement of the original drain line or sewer line from the house out to the street. Now, originally the line that was about 35 years old was mostly a clay pipe with a little bit of cast iron mixed in here and there. Homeowners constantly had problems with slow drainage and this piping clogging up. So in order to eliminate that problem, we've replaced the entire line with a 4-inch PVC. Now, this goes from 3-inch to 4-inch and is connected with a little rubber boot. That's a very common way of connecting two different sizes or two different types of piping. And the extra capacity here should eliminate any problem the homeowners have had in the past. But if they do have a problem and need to access this pipe, we're putting in a few vertical stacks like this that will be cut off, and a little screw access plate will be put in at this point so that if ever there was a problem, they can access the pipe through this. And this will be cut low enough that the lawnmower will be able to mow right over it. Now, the pipe continues from this point on out to the street, and we've left the drain line open in several places so that the inspector, when he comes by, can see everything in place. It'll be covered up and tamped down real well a little bit later. Also, we've been able to remove all of the original concrete driveway and put down a good clay base. We're allowing the work trucks to drive over it to pack it down well, and we'll have our concrete contractor back in just a few days to put down the new driveway. Now, of course, the materials are here for him, it's ready, but before he starts his work, we have to install a few drain lines that'll drain some of the water from the rear yard to the front yard. We have our landscape architect back taking a look at what's involved in that drainage, as well as taking a look at the master plan for the landscaping. Now, many homeowners don't realize how important it is to get a landscape architect involved at this stage in a project. Paul Fontenot is taking care of that duty here on this job. Now, what is the role of a landscape architect?
Well, really, our role is to coordinate and design all the exterior spaces around the house. We design not only things like the planting, but the hardscaping, driveways, sidewalks, and so forth, outdoor lighting systems, as well as drainage systems.
Okay, well, I know drainage is one of the concerns the homeowners had because the rear of this lot's a little higher than the actual floor level of the house, and a lot of potential for problems there. How are you handling that?
Yeah, drainage was real important on this site and tricky, but we're going to handle it. We're going to regrade the backyard, as well as we've developed an underground piping system to take the water off the property.
Okay, all right. Now, selection of plants, I know that you get into a little bit of the personality and preference of the homeowners when the plant selection takes place. Plus, some homeowners know a lot more about plants than others, so how do you handle that selection?
Well, with most homeowners, they rely on you a lot to tell you. They might know what they like, but they rely on you to tell you if it's appropriate and if it's going to work in that particular spot.
Okay, I know shade and drainage and everything has a bearing on that, and but I tell you, I love architects' plans like this, landscape architect plans, because you got all this color and pretty pictures. And now, of course, this is the house itself, and here's the driveway. Tell us about some of the other features you have here.
Yes, in the front yard, basically, we've kept it real simple, different layers of ground cover, low shrubs to keep the focus on the house, we've developed a nice walk around the back, which really will become the entrance to the backyard. It will be important when the pool gets developed. We've designed a nice pool area for the future, and also we provided a nice screen along the back for privacy. But perhaps the biggest focal point of the yard is a courtyard off of the master bedroom here that we've developed. And we're really going for a lush, sort of peaceful look with different textures of ground covers, coarse textured shrubs, to really give a nice, tranquil feeling.
Good, good. Well, I really look forward to seeing this implemented. It's really going to make our project look really nice. And it's never too early to get a landscape architect involved in your project, whether you're remodeling or building a new house. Stay with us. Next is our simple solution.
Get ready to review your fix-it list as Danny and home repair pro Alan Lyle show you this week's simple solution.
One of the most dreaded household projects can be replacing damaged shingles.
That's right. What we've got here is one that was damaged in a recent storm, so we need to replace it, but as you can see, it's kind of difficult to tell where one shingle ends and the other begins. So we're going to take our flat bar, and I'm going to move down where I can pry underneath here. And you can see we don't have a slit here. Let me push back this one. And there it is. So here we can tell this is our shingle that we're going to replace.
Now, before you start replacing a shingle, one of the things that you may want to do is to take a small sample of the shingle to the supply house to be able to match the shingles. This one we're working with here is one of the most common colored shingles there are.
All right, we've got the top one loose and our replacement one loose. What we want to do is come underneath and try to pop those nails out. You can see a flat bar is great for doing that. Once we've gotten all our nails out, we can pretty much remove that one damaged shingle, push it aside. Now we're ready to install our new one by sliding it right up underneath. It's great to have an extra pair of hands when you're doing this. With the new shingle in place, we're ready to nail down the new one underneath the existing flaps.
Now, not all shingles are this flexible and easy to work with. You're lucky if the roof is not very old, so that you're able to work with it a lot better and it won't be so brittle. Now, it can cause you some problems anytime you're on a roof, so be real careful. Make sure you use a proper ladder and be real careful when you're near any electrical or near the edge of the roof. This is one way to repair just a simple damaged roof shingle. Now, the majority of the floors that are being installed on the inside of this remodeling project are hardwood, but this one's a little bit different in that it's a floating installation. Here to talk with us about it is Gary Cooper. Now, Gary, tell us, what is the floating installation that we're dealing with on this hardwood floor?
Floating installation is a term they use, Danny, when you're adhering the material on the tongue and groove only, and you don't adhere it to the floor. It just lays there and floats.
Okay, now when you come in on a project like this and you have just a concrete slab, what are some of the prep that you have to do to the slab itself?
We have to come in and scrape all the sheetrock mud up, big hunks of paint, just make sure that it's as clean as possible. You don't want any bumps under a floating floor.
Okay, all right. And then you're ready to install the foam pad, and I notice here on the foam pad it's just just real about 1/8 of an inch thick and has a little bit of a cushion to it. And there again, there's no gluing of that. It basically just rolls out, I guess.
You just roll it out on the floor and tape the joints with clear poly tape on slabs. That's to create a full moisture barrier.
Okay, and this one's a little different than some of the other floating type of pads in that I understand it has a sound quality to it.
Mm-hmm. It deadens the clacking sound by probably 75%.
Okay.
It's much quieter to walk on.
Okay, great. And then now the wood we're talking about here, I know I've got a little small section here that shows how the actual wood veneered on top of the plywood. And you had mentioned to me before that you can get almost any kind of wood you want on this.
This particular product comes in most any wood known to man.
Okay, all right, and this particular kind is what kind of wood we're using?
Jatoba wood.
Jatoba wood, okay, all right. And the finish is great. I like the way the different colors are on the floor. A little bit of light color, a little bit of dark, really blends in well. And of course this is tongue and groove, and in the groove of the tongue is really the only place that you're using any kind of glue.
Exactly.
Okay, let's go ahead and install a piece here and see what's involved in it. Now, what your glue is just a regular, what, latex type glue?
It's a latex water-based adhesive. This particular product you glue 100% at the base of the top of the groove. Some materials you don't have to glue it 100%. Different manufacturers have their own methods. Every laminate manufacturer tells you to install it a different way.
I see, okay. And you got your little block that I noticed that you've cut just to bump it in place.
Exactly.
Good.
You just work your way down.
And then just a little bit of
Once
clean
you
up
get it
here on the
tightened
surface,
up.
I guess. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, what about cost on this? You know, there's all kinds of different varieties and levels of hardwood. What would you expect to pay for materials and labor on something like this?
Materials and labor on this particular product, you would spend probably $8 to $10 a foot.
Okay, all right, square foot. Okay, well good, that's reasonable enough for a floor as good a quality as this. And,
Right.
and really when you have a pre-finished floor like this, that's really from the factory, you really get a better material, a better durability than if you were to have to sand and refinish all these floors.
It's much tougher in durability because it's factory applied. When you apply a coat by hand, it's not nearly as hard.
It's time to check out the Home Center for this week's best new product with Danny and today's Homeowner Magazine's editor-in-chief, Paul Spring.
Paul, you know, there's so many string trimmers out on the market today. They've really become very popular.
They have, Danny, because they're so useful out in the yard. Once you get that grass cut, they'll do an awful lot of other the tasks you have. Your basic choice when you're purchasing one is between gas and electric. This is a gas unit from Home Light. It was one of our favorites because it gets you away from being tethered to an electric cord, and it has a lot of the features you're looking for in a gas unit. It's easy to start, has this little bulb that puts some fuel in, and it's a light unit. It's a little less than 9 pounds. It's about $80 list price. Has a curved 17-inch shaft. It's a good unit.
You know, with string trimmers, one of the most frustrating things that can happen is the string not coming out properly, and you spend a lot of time working on just trying to get that to work. But Homelight's taken a real simple approach to solving that problem.
They sure have. You're absolutely right. And the most simple approach is a single string, and that's what they've done. This is a very heavy-duty, large diameter string. It lasts a good long time, but if you need to replace it, it's just threaded through these two holes and locked in at the center there.
Well, the replacement string really is real easy to put 3 or 4 of these in your pocket, and as you're walking around the yard trimming things up, real easy to replace without even any tools at all. It's great to see a manufacturer taking a good, simple approach to this type of system. Now that really looks good, how the hardwood starts in the kitchen and continues through the great room and right on down the hallway. You know, something that really helps the tradesmen to do their best work is adequate lighting at this stage in the job, and the electrician was in a few days ago to install many of the light fixtures here in this project, including the wall sconces in the hallway. Now, sconces are a great way to get some good subtle lighting and a real classy look in a hallway area instead of potentially harsh overhead lighting. Now, also talking about a classy look, the dining room fixture really turned out nice, especially with the way it was really dressed up with the medallion that was installed on the ceiling. Also, many recess lights have been used on this job throughout the project, as well as ceiling fans in the bedroom and other ceiling-mounted fixtures in the bedroom as well. And some of the utility areas, such as closets and laundry rooms, the use of fluorescent lights is very popular, not only because it gives good overall lighting, but also it's very economical to use fluorescent lights. Now, of course, the electricians have been busy getting as much accomplished as they have, but someone else that's been busy is a ceramic and marble installer. Now, in the master bathroom, the homeowners have selected a 12-inch by 12-inch tile. Now, for years, all we installed are the little 4-inch by 4-inch size, but the tiles are getting larger and larger. 12 by 12, 13 by 13, and even 16 by 16 is not that uncommon. Now, they've selected here a dark black marble with some white veining, good bit of veining in here, and the color we use for grout is a gray-black color. Now, one of the other bathrooms, we've used another type of marble that's more of an amber color with a lot of texture and a lot of character. And in another bathroom and in the laundry room, we used another 12 by 12 ceramic tile and used a dark brown grout. You know, more people are selecting the darker colored grouts because it won't discolor as much or show up as many of the stains that are common with the lighter color grouts. Now, this is a standard grid pattern that we've used in the majority of the rooms, but to use a border and maybe some accent pieces really can make a much more classy looking floor, a little more of an elaborate floor like you like to see in a foyer. Now, this white marble tile would make a great looking floor by itself, but by using some of the black marble that we looked at in the master bathroom and bringing it in to use as a border, as well as some of the little accent diamonds in the middle of the floor, really make for a much more elegant look. Now, another thing about marble that's different than ceramic, you're able to obtain a much tighter grout joint. Of course, you're going to pay for it because with marble, it can be twice as high as ceramic. Now, many ceramics can be installed from $6 to $8 per square foot for materials and labor, but with marble, it can get as high as $20 a square foot for the same materials and labor. But generally, it's worth it, and it looks great in a foyer area like this. Now, as far as design, there's a lot of different ways to go, and you can talk with an interior designer or an experienced tile installer, and they can give you some great ideas. You know, even in a situation like this, you could use black tiles in the middle and use the white tiles for the border and the accents. Also, putting it on a diagonal looks real nice, especially with the border. Now, I think we'll achieve what the homeowners wanted here in having a nice formal entryway into their newly remodeled house. Once we install the nice light fixture and replace this temporary construction door with a new leaded glass door that'll be installed in just a couple days. Also, that door is a real rich wood door that'll be stained, and it'll even add to the formal nature of this area. Now, stay with us. Next, we'll go outside for Around the Yard.
Now for a bit of news from the great outdoors as Danny takes a look around the yard.
Now, if you have an area in your yard that's a little too shady to grow most grasses or plants, you may want to consider some type of ground cover. Now, there's a number of good ground cover varieties that are available, from an English ivy to an evergreen type of ground cover, Asiatic jasmine, and many, many others. Now, you can buy most ground covers in small containers from your local nursery or garden center. Plant your ground cover plants about 12 to 16 inches apart in a staggered pattern. Now, this may seem a bit sparse at first, but ground cover spreads quickly. And because of its hardy nature, it's great for erosion control. Also, difficult to mow areas in the yard, such as terraced areas, sloped areas, or behind your retaining walls. But just like any planted area, you need to fertilize it the right amount and water it the right amount to really make it grow. Now, this is one of 3 8-inch drain lines that are being installed under the driveway to handle all of the drainage problems from the rear yard. Now, when we come back to this job, the driveway will be complete, the granite countertops will be installed, and the plumbing fixtures will be in. It'll almost be a completed project. As I said at the start of the show, thanks for all the letters and email we've received. Your input will make our show a better show. Join us next week here on Today's Homeowner.